Ladies and gentlemen, between UDA party and DCP party, which party do you think will win in Ol Kalou? Because Ol Kalou is turning out to be a contest between William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua would want to stamp his authority as Mount Kenya kingpin. William Ruto would want to prove that indeed he still controls Mount Kenya. Remember what he did in Mbeere North. Will he repeat the same in Ol Kalou? Which begs the question, between UDA and DCP, which party will win?
Pale Ol Kalou, nomination inaendelea, watu wamejitokeza maelfu. Na watu ya Kalou watachagua mjumbe wao leo. Na yule atapita kwa UDA is the next member of parliament for Ol Kalou.
Yesterday, UDA party conducted their nominations. Today, DCP conducted their nominations. From the images which emerged yesterday, it was clear that the turnout during the UDA nominations, as you can see from those photos there, were really low. As a matter of fact, the person who was declared the winner garnered only 3,000 votes. Today, DCP conducted their nominations, and the turnout was huge. Do we conclude then that the residents of Ol Kalou boycotted UDA nominations but turned up in large numbers for DCP?
Jambo la mwisho, ningependa pia kushukuru wakazi wa Ol Kalou kwamba mulimsikia kiongozi wenyu Rigathi Gachagua jana. Rigathi Gachagua alikuwa amewapatia mwelekeo kwamba musijitokeze, muende mupige kura kwa ile nomination ya UDA. Na mimi ningependa kuwa congratulate sababu jana nilisikia yule candidate wa UDA walipata kura 1,000 sijui 100. Sasa kama sasa huyo candidate nasikia angeweza pitisha kura 1,000. Unajua 1,000 ni 1. Sababu wanajua hao pia ni 1. So,
in this video, I want us to figure out why William Ruto is actually worried about the turnout, the low turnout of UDA yesterday and the high turnout of DCP today. For us to understand the voting pattern in Ol Kalou, let us go back to 2022. In 2022, Ol Kalou voted for William Ruto. But for the MP, they voted for Jubilee. The Jubilee candidate, the late, garnered 24,000 votes. That's very huge comparing with the other constituencies from the same Nyandarua County. UDA candidate at that time garnered 19,000 votes. So which means either the UDA candidate as an individual was very strong, or which means the Jubilee candidate as an individual was very strong in 2022, or the UDA candidate was very weak. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go further, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, take a second or two, click the subscribe button so that next time you produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Ladies and gentlemen, why do you think the turnout during the UDA nominations were low? And why should William Ruto be worried? I think number one, there was the fear. You see, during the burial of the late MP, William Ruto was lectured like a child by Rigathi and by the senator for Nyandarua. The residents could not allow people like Kimani Ichung'wah to even speak. The truth of the matter is that initially there were plans to lock Rigathi Gachagua from that funeral. And for me, if you were to ask me, that's exactly what set the pace in Ol Kalou. So people believe in Ol Kalou that, UDA is not wanted. So the residents feared turning out for the UDA nominations because maybe they were going to be targeted. And remember, Rigathi Gachagua understands one thing, that it's going to be a do or die for him in this particular constituency. And the DCP party, after the loss in Mbeere North, of course, DCP did not lose, but the candidate they were supporting, the DP candidate, lost. They want to prove a point. So their supporters believed that these guys won, their guy won, but they were rigged out. So the truth is, there's that fear that people don't want to be associated with UDA. Probably that can explain why these guys ended up winning in Mbeere North. There was the fear, but with the time, people gained the courage. So let us wait and see how all this thing is going to unfold. But I think people did not turn up out of fear. Number two, politics is a perceptional game. So if you look at it critically, Ruto is living in a fear because yesterday the turnout was low. Today the turnout were high. So perceptionally, to people from outside like myself, I can easily conclude that there is no UDA in Ol Kalou. You too, from the photos and the videos, you can easily conclude that there is no UDA in Ol Kalou. So perceptionally, and this is what is worrying William Ruto, perceptionally, even the people from Ol Kalou, after what they witnessed yesterday, they are going to conclude that, of course, there's no UDA. And that's very dangerous for William Ruto, because even if they were to campaign, they will have to do extra work. Number three, and this is what Rigathi Gachagua has been praying for. And that's why I keep on insisting that if Rigathi Gachagua will lose in Ol Kalou, he should forget. Rigathi Gachagua needs the momentum. And you see, they're gaining that momentum even before the elections day, the by-elections day. The turnout itself. And that's why, as much as there was a slip of the tongue, Rigathi Gachagua was very clear that the elections were actually concluded today. Because remember, initially, Jubilee Party wanted to sponsor their own candidate in Ol Kalou, because the late was a member of Jubilee. But Rigathi Gachagua, after learning his lessons in Mbeere North, decided, I have to field my own candidate under my own banner, under my own party, DCP. So if he's going to win, I can assure you, between now and 2027, another by-election is likely to happen in in Mount Kenya, where DCP will sponsor a candidate. So they need the momentum. Ruto would not want DCP to gain any momentum. So wrong signals creating this perception and the fear is not good for William Ruto and UDA party. So as the party leader of UDA, William Ruto is trying to deal with the perception and is also trying to deal with this momentum. From yesterday, the momentum is there. You can clearly tell even online how happy DCP supporters are after the turnout today and yesterday's turnout. So Ruto do not want this momentum. And importantly, you see, we've never held in this country free and fair elections. Raila Odinga has always insisted that the only free and fair election which has ever been held in the Republic of Kenya was that which was held in 2002. If rigging took place in Mbeere North, can it happen in Ol Kalou? It can happen. But for it to happen, there must be perception. that UDA is strong. There must be a perception that UDA is strong. How do you create perception? The turnout. So yesterday, UDA turnout were very low. Today, UDA turnout, DCP turnout were very high. So already there's a perception that the ground is pro-DCP. So which means when it comes to the election day, it's going to be charged. Because remember what these guys did in Mbeere North. If you are keen, Rigathi Gachagua and the team were campaigning. But surprisingly, Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki and his UDA brigades at that time were pulling a lot of crowds. And people were like, okay, is Mount Kenya really one term or two term based on the crowd they were pulling? So that even if they rigged that by election, at the back of the minds of Kenyans, they were like, but of course, this is reflective of what we used to see during the campaigns. That's no different from Ol Kalou. So which means Rigathi Gachagua and the team will be able to thwart any rigging schemes. The people will be able to now turn up in large numbers and even fail to attend UDA political rallies. And that's how they'll be able to thwart any rigging scheme. And that is something which is really worrying President William Ruto. And importantly, if you studied the nominations, the DCP nominations, it is clear that there is something which Rigathi Gachagua was trying. Rigathi Gachagua is a very good student of William Ruto. He worked under Ruto. And that's why he keep on promising that I'm going to teach this man a lesson. The first thing he did was that he ensured that the senator for Nyandarua was out. Because during the burial, the senator for Nyandarua became very powerful, very popular. So he ensured he sent him to London. Rigathi Gachagua is also out of the picture. So he left these nominations in the hands of the people of Ol Kalou. Because according to him, he wants the best candidate to win. So it means there's something he was testing. And if there's something he was testing, he got it right. So Ruto is really worried that this guy was testing something and now he got it. Importantly, which is my last point, DCP, after today's nominations, where they attracted massive crowd, it means they are likely now to attract more people. They are likely to attract more aspirants. They are likely to attract more people who are still sitting on the fence. That is not good for William Ruto. I don't know what you think, but that's my take. Until next time, this is Makwiny. Bye-bye.